Welcome to another video. This time I am making a Rito Village house from the game The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I started off by making a 3D model of the building I wanted to recreate. This comes in handy because I can get a sense of the scale and I use it to make templates and 3D printed parts. I cut the base in roughly the shape of the template, then lay down balsa wood to make up the wooden deck. The 8 pillars are cut and shaped from templates of the 3D model as well. I want working lights on this, but I didn't want the wires to show, so I made holes and canals for the wires. To connect the lights, I need my soldering kit. But hang on, what's this toy solder doing in there? This is the first time I'm soldering anything, and it took me a few tries and a few tea lights, but I got a usable result in the end. I am mainly using XPS foam and balsa wood to make wood looking pieces on this project. All the balsa wood is textured with a wire brush, but the XPS is also textured with a hard part on the tip of my finger. I think I nailed it. The sides need planks. I used popsicle sticks to make the balconies because they are more sturdy and they have the correct scale already. I export another template from the 3D model, and this time I cut and glued the balsa wood directly to the template. My first try at this was a disaster and I had to scrap it. And I even made stop motion of the assembly. But this looks a lot better. I knew these parts would be a nightmare to paint after assembly, so I had to paint these now. When having to paint in stages throughout the project, going days or weeks between parts that need to look the same in the end, it's smart to write down the colors and in what order they are applied. I didn't though, so you will see some struggles throughout the video of me trying to match parts to each other. Now is the time to attach the roof to the pillars. But again, the rest will be a pain to paint if I attach the roof now. It's already a struggle to get to some of the areas, and I regret not painting the deck before adding the pillars, but what can you do? I probably went a little overboard with so many long screws, but they have to hold everything, so yeah, why not? It's hard to make many similar railings with the same tiny detail, so I printed those out. The 3D model will be available for free and I will link to it in the description. I forgot to look at the reference and started making the railings on the balcony freestyle. It's never a good idea. So I had to scrap it and drop the correct one on. In the game, you can see red rope twisted around some of the parts of the building. I didn't have any twine at hand, but I had tea. I stained and superglued it in place. Since the pillars are made by hand, none are precisely the same. so I had to custom fit all of these spacers. I numbered them because they sort of fit all 8 places, but only one place perfect. People talk about Mod Podge and black paint all the time, but it's got a name. I know there's a lot of great rigs that you can get for your hot wire table. I don't have any. The roof is made up of 36 very precise trapezoid shapes. Looking at the precision of the pillars I made, I opted for a 3D printing once again. Most of the pieces were printed on my filament printer, but it died after 60 plus hours of printing, so I had to print 3 of the pieces on my resin printer. But that's okay. They are also covered in balsa wood and the material underneath is not visible. Three months ago, I made a short video on how to make these feather ornaments. On top of the roof, there is a kind of bird sculpture, I think. And this is also made by using some stencils. To prevent the wood from splitting, I am drilling a pilot hole, then gradually increasing the drill bit. At first glance, this sculpture looks simple, but the angles and the fact that they have to be attached to the roof made it somewhat of a challenge to make. I can find reference photos online for most of what I'm making, but the best reference is the game itself. I imagine the rain has washed the paint of the roof over the years, so I'm using my fingers to mimic the effect. I sand the heads of the nails to give them some teeth for painting. I printed and cut out a stencil instead of painting freehand. Now it's time to make the bottom. This was not planned, but I'm very glad I decided to go for a magnetic connection. This will give me the opportunity to place just the top part on the gaming table for my D&D games, and it makes it easier to store. I saw this superglue and PVA glue mix trick over at Tinu's channel Craftustrophy. The superglue grabs and holds, and the PVA glue gives it a super strong bond. I had the template made for this, but since the pillars are a bit wonky, the planks didn't fit. On this next piece I used really advanced math to find out the correct angles. I was getting low on the thicker balsa wood, but these parts are more sculptural anyway, so I switched to XPS foam. It's time to make the lamps look like lamps instead of tea lights. I made myself a connect the dots game with a heavily watered down whitewash to make the zigzag between the pillars. I really didn't anticipate the amount of time it would take to make these rugs. Now comes the finishing touches and the beauty shots at the end. Please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much for watching.